Well, recently the union government notified the operational guidelines for shipbuilding as well as for the financial assistance of the same. Overall, the worth of these schemes is over 40,000 crore rupees. And to further break it down and how India's shipping sector will get a major boost after these reforms, we have been joined by Mr. Vijay Kumar, who is the Union Secretary of Shipping and Ports. So many thanks for speaking to NDTV Profit. So we have recently seen that these operational guidelines have been notified, and last year the government came out with a 70,000 crore scheme. So overall, how do you plan to implement this?
So as you rightly mentioned, these schemes are a part of a very important push towards domestic shipbuilding in the country. And to give you some status, right now we are about 16th rank in shipbuilding in the entire world. And the goal of the government is to take us to the top 10 by 2030 and to take us to top 5 by 2047. So to reach that goal, a very ambitious package has been announced and the guidelines have recently been formulated. So these guidelines basically cover three parts of the scheme. One is our shipbuilding financial assistance scheme, where we provide assistance to ships for domestic shipbuilding. Second part is basically capacity expansion of our shipyards. We are looking at capacity expansion of brownfield shipyards. We are looking for setting up new greenfield shipyards also. Third part of the scheme would be Maritime Development Fund, where we will be investing equity in shipping operations. So in these guidelines, we have had extensive series of consultations with various stakeholders, and we have nominated implementing agencies. For the shipbuilding financial assistance scheme, DG Shipping will be the implementing authority, and a portal is being developed to implement the entire scheme.
Right. So if we look at the overall schemes, we are also seeing that shipping in the country is not new. It has been there from the past decades, I would say. But in order to prioritize the old ports and building the new ports, how will the government prioritize this under the new package?
So basically, the priority of this entire package is to promote domestic shipbuilding. So what we are going to do is, we have stipulated a local content requirement. So to avail the shipbuilding financial assistance scheme, a ship has to have a minimum of 30% of local domestic content, and that should go up to 40%. So basically, if the domestic content is below 30%, no financial assistance, is at 40%, full financial assistance. Between 30 to 40%, a proportionate financial assistance will be given. Second part of this is, as I mentioned, about expansion of brownfield shipyard. There we provide about 25% of assistance to expand the existing shipyards. Third part is setting up greenfield, new shipyards, where various state governments will partner with some of our ports to set up shipyards. And let me tell you, there has been very good response to all of these schemes. A lot of foreign shipping lines, they've already started placing orders on Indian domestic shipyards in response to these schemes. Number of existing shipyards, both private sector as well as public sector, they have come forward with their expansion plans. And we are also talking to about 5 states for setting up greenfield shipyards.
Right. Yeah. So the draft rules of merchant shipping are also being rolled out, though it is at the draft stage. But how do you plan to incorporate the smaller players as far as the entire revitalization plan is concerned?
So basically, last year was, I would say, a historic year in the history of entire ecosystem of merchant shipping in the country. So a total of 5 laws were enacted, which replaced all the colonial laws that we had, and with number of liberalization provisions. So as you rightly mentioned, we have already come up with draft rules, which have been framed after extensive consultations with the stakeholders. And the goal of all of these rules is to increase ease of doing business, to bring it more transparency, to promote merchant shipping in the country. And they have special provisions to facilitate small-scale players also.
Right. So how will the 40% ship breaking credit note will be utilized, and how will you ensure that there is no misuse of the same?
So this ship breaking credit note, the entire process has been outlined after a lot of consultations with number of safeguards in place. The implementing agency for this will be our Director General of Shipping. So he will be inviting applications through a portal for this specific purpose. So the ship owner who wants to claim this credit note will submit his application along with necessary documents. So ship recycling goes through multiple documentation. So that process is already codified. So each credit note will be given a unique ID number. That ID number will also be linked to the ship which is being recycled. And this can only be claimed against a domestic ship which is being built, which is also a unique ship. So the entire process will be a unique ID number, linking it to the ship being recycled and to the ship which is going to be constructed. Furthermore, the entire process will operate through a portal which is being monitored by Director General of Shipping directly himself. So the entire process has a lot of safeguards, and in addition, the subsidy will be released only when the ship is actually launched. So it will ensure that ship is actually physically built, and the entire subsidy is being released against the security and indemnity bond. So there are sufficient safeguards to ensure that this will not be misused.
Right. So as far as the entire shipbuilding scheme is concerned, how will the government prioritize the type of the vessel that will be built under the schemes, considering that cargo is there, defense ships are there, green ships are also going to be there in the future. So how will you prioritize all of this?
So let me first state the priority is on domestic shipbuilding as a whole. So within that, we will have different categories of vessels, which will be given differential rate of subsidies. That is where the difference will come in. So for example, for small normal vessels, when I say small, I basically mean less than 100 crore, the subsidy is at the rate of 15%. For large normal vessels, more than 100 crores, subsidy goes up to 20%. For specialized vessels, subsidy goes up to 25%. So within this entire domestic paradigm, there are differential rate of scales, but the overall priority is to build ships domestically with local content ranging from 30 to 40% at least, and also there is a push towards bigger ships and towards specialized ships. Among the specialized ships, we will be including complex cargo vessels. We will be including we will be including what we call floating production, storage, and offloading units. We'll also include vessels operated by green fuels and transition fuels.
Right. So as far as the timeline is concerned of the entire financial assistance scheme, what will be the timeline of the same, and how will you implement it, and how will you ensure that proper players are given a chance?
So this part is very critical. How much time it takes to build a vessel? On this, we consulted all the stakeholders. Number of meetings were held. So the timelines in the scheme vary from 4 to 6 years. It depends upon the type of vessel, depends upon the number of vessels. And further, if the vessels are specialized, if the vessels are complex, we have provided liberal timelines also. And in case of series orders, where more than 5 vessels are being ordered, we provide 1 additional year for each subsequent vessel delivery. So the timelines are realistic, they are practical, and they're flexible, keeping in view the requirement of the shipyards.
Right. So we are seeing that the major goal of this particular initiative by the union government is to ensure that India has an edge over when it comes to the overall shipbuilding. So how do you feel that the major 70,000 crore scheme, after which these operation guidelines have been notified, how will this help India to come at the forefront of shipbuilding?
So as I mentioned in the beginning only, the goal is to put India on the world map, to put us among the top 10 shipbuilding nations by 2030, top 5 by 2047. So the primary reason for the scheme was basically the cost disadvantage that the Indian shipyards face while constructing a ship because of various reasons, which are historical also, which pertain to economies of scale also. So this cost differential is being addressed by this financial assistance. So that will take care of one part of it. Secondly, we are also looking at the production side of the shipbuilding. We are also looking at domestic shipyards, whom we will be giving subsidy for setting up common infrastructure, for setting up for buying up their necessary equipments, for their brownfield expansion program also. This scheme will also support skilling, training, testing, and R&D in the shipbuilding sector. So if you take all of this into account, it addresses the cost differential in the initial cost of the ship. It also addresses the interest cost differential. It also addresses the technology part of it.
Right. So what is the expected impact on the domestic shipbuilding capacity, the capacity that we will be having after the shipbuilding is running on all cylinders per se, and what will be the effect on the employment, and how do you look at the overall development?
So these schemes will give a massive push to shipbuilding as well as employment. To give you some figures, currently our shipbuilding output over the past 10 years has ranged between about 25,000 to 1 lakh GTs, Now, these schemes, they are intended to increase the annual shipbuilding output of the country to about 4.5 million GT. That will be a quantum jump. And in terms of employment, so shipbuilding has a very large employment multiplier of about 6.4, and we expect it will generate about 30 lakh jobs going forward. This will change the entire ecosystem of the shipbuilding industry in the country.
Right. So, as far as the shipping companies are concerned, once all of this has been notified, but if we look at the overall impact as far as the shipping companies are concerned, so how will the financial assistance help the project delivery, and how will it make the entire project viable, and what will be the order pipeline looking like for these ship companies?
So while these schemes were being framed, we had extensive consultations with the shipyards to understand the cost disadvantage that they face and the amount of assistance they require to be able to compete with the global players. So that figure comes to about 20-25%. So if you look at the subsidy component, it's almost the same subsidy component. And we look at all the aspects through which assistance is being extended, through our interest subvention, through our direct assistance to shipyard, direct assistance for shipbuilding. It takes care of the cost differential there.
Right. So do you believe that the 40% ship breaking credit will, help the companies in reducing their cost?
Definitely. So this, if you look at this entire concept of this credit note, it's basically promoting circular economy and it's addressing issues on both sides. First of all, it incentivizes domestic ship recycling by giving a credit note to the cost of about 40%. Secondly, it also addresses the issue of domestic shipbuilding because this cost will be paid against the domestic ship being built. So it subsidizes, it assists both sides of the spectrum.
Right. Yeah. So how will this impact the capex planning of these companies, the margins and the ROIC?
Definitely. I mean, this definitely if a part of their cost is being met through these schemes, their return on capital will improve and they will be able to compete globally for shipbuilding.
Right. So how do you look at these the overall scheme that is there? How will it improve the competitiveness of our companies? Do you feel that our ports will be ready and all these shipbuilding ports will be ready with a lot of orders to deliver throughout the world?
So as I already mentioned also, there has been a lot of response and interest from various players to all of our schemes. In fact, many leading shipping lines of the world, including number 1 shipping line, CMA CGM, number 2 shipping line, AP Moller Maersk, number 3, they've already started placing orders on domestic shipyards in anticipation of this scheme. So it is leading to a good order book visibility. And there's one more aspect to it, which is more than these schemes. We are also addressing the demand side visibility for shipyards. In fact, following the approach given by our Honorable Prime Minister, the whole of government approach, many ministries have gotten together. Ministry of Steel, Ministry of Petroleum, Ministry of Shipping, Department of Fertilizers, we have gotten together and aggregated the entire shipbuilding demand being generated from there. Almost a demand of more than 400 vessels have been aggregated to the extent of about rupees 2.2 lakh crore over a period of 10 years. So this aggregated demand is going to give a demand order visibility to the shipyards for their expansion and for their order book.
Right, sir. So very lastly, although the union government has come out with a major scheme worth 70,000 crores last year, but we are just around the union budget. Can the industry expect some other major announcement for the sector in the upcoming budget?
That we are working on, and let's wait for the budget announcement by the Honorable Finance Minister.
Right, sir. So many thanks for speaking to NDTV Profit. It was a pleasure speaking to you, and all the best for the new year, and wishing you a happy new year.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year. Thank you.